And now for me it's a great pleasure to invite here our colleague from Rome University La Sapienza, Dr. Benedetto Ligorio.
Here. It's here.
Okay. No, it's too strictly for the
Yeah, I understand. Он очень большой, толстый. Okay, good. Benedetto, please, is here.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, thank you to Professor Alexander Novi. It's a pleasure to be here in Kunstkamera again, and it's really a pleasure to stay in St. Petersburg, place of born of structuralism and constructivism. My presentation regards the establishment on sociological perspective and economical perspective of a new ghetto in Italy, the segregation of workers from the Eastern Europe and from Africa in agro-industrial economical activity in Italy, and in particularly in Adriatic area. So, as noted, the globalization process creates dynamics of migration of people, and the collapse of the former socialist countries system create a process of dynamics of immigration in Mediterranean area, and of course Italy is the center of this process of migration because of his particular geographical position inside the great trade migration. However, the process of migration creates a reserve of people who can be involved in illegal work activity in agriculture, especially because they are difficult to find, difficult to identify, and they can move in the country without any kind of control. This creates a particular system of segregation and of illegal work. So as can we see, we have a comparative perspective in 3 years, the 200, the 204, and the 2009. And we can see that in many countries, and of course in more developed countries, also in North Italy, but especially in Adriatic area and the Mediterranean area, the illegal work increased, and the illegality in agro-industry in Italy increased in that time. The Puglia is one of the countries, and Molise, of course, is one of the region that had the lower trend of increasing of illegal agro-industry. As we can see, the main part of the agro-industrial enterprise confiscated by the state for mafia infiltration and illegal worker condition regards the cities of South Italy prevalently, but we can see that the two capitals of Italy, Milano as economic capital, informal economic capital, and Rome, official political capital, are involved in enterprise strictly connected with mafia. 108 enterprises were statalized by the state and sequestered and confiscated and create in Rome, for example, and create new kind of enterprise, ethical enterprise, under the surveillance of the state. But Rome is only an example. We can see that Palermo, Naples, and Milan are the top three cities with this kind with this model. In the we can do a rate comparison of immigrant worker increasing in the time from 2000 to 2009, divided by region. And we can see that the rate of immigrant workers increase in every region in Italy, especially in Lazio and in Lombardy. But we can see that also in Sicily, and of course in the other region, the trend is every time the same: the increasing of the role of the immigrant workers in agro-industrial sector. I decided to give a comparison of three regions of Adriatic area: the Veneto, with four of the five great important provinces. The other is Venice, but it's not relevant for agriculture. But the other four provinces are relevant for agriculture, and I make the analysis of the main relevant nation of the immigrated workers. And they came from, in Verona, prevalently from Senegal, second nation Morocco, third nation Ghana. It is a region with workers prevalently come from Africa, and there is a serious exploitation of workers, black work, unpaid wage, mafia infiltration and labor mediation, tax evasion, of course, and illegal detention of workers' documents. The province of Padua, in particular, is involved in the high rank of illegal immigration. The other region, the second region, is in the center of Italy, to have a comparison of the center, of the north, and of the south Italy. In this case, we have an example of a different kind of migration, and the condition of workers are in general not too bad as the Veneto, and we have the main part of immigration from Romania, Moldavia, and Albania, and in other regions, in the provinces of Ascoli, Fermo, and Macerata, from Africa, from Morocco especially. The problem of this region, of the workers of this region, is the tax evasion, of course, the black works, and the unpaid wage, but the general conditions are better than in other regions. And the end of Puglia. The Puglia is characterized by the immigration, especially from the from the southeastern Europe, and especially from Albania, Romania, the Balkan area, of course. is the great reserve of workers for the agro-industrial immigrate in South Italy. And of course, the main important nationalities are Albania and Romania, and after Bulgaria and Poland workers. So the model is equivalent to the model of Veneto, serious exploitation of workers, black work and unpaid wage. There are two provinces in which the immigrating workers are involved in ghettization dynamics, in the province of Lecce and in the province of Foggia. And we can see also the number of immigrant workers in the whole number of the immigrant workers, and the province of Foggia have the huge number of immigrants. And the other provinces like Brindisi and Barletta are characterized from by the origin of European, especially, and from Southeastern European immigrants. In Foggia, we have a different situation with more people from the sub-Saharan Africa, especially from Costa d'Avorio, Côte d'Ivoire, and from the Western Africa, like Mali, for example. The illegal worker condition emigrated of the immigrants in Puglia is the 0.5%. In many cases, in the case of Bari, for example, but usually are 0.1% in other countries, in the other provinces. However, the regional data shows that 1/3 of the enterprise of agro-industrial sector in Puglia are involved in illegal condition of workers by the control of the state. And the full number, we have the data of the full number of the workers of the immigrated workers in the condition of illegal condition, especially black hand work and detention of documents. So we have a particular law in Italy because without a document, of course, a worker can't move from the country and can be under the control of the mafia. And the mafia relieved the document from from the immigrants to avoid them to have any autonomy in their activity, in their work, or in their unification or state for right, for example. So these dynamics create a kind of ghetto. But what is a ghetto? A ghetto was has an origin in Venice and born in 16th century in an industrial discharge called Ghetto Novo. It was an industrial area, a proto-industrial area of Venice, and the Senate attributed this area to the Jewish people. And make a kind of restriction of their mobility in that area. So this means that the ghetto had an industrial origin. It's not only characterized for the Jewish people, and it have not linkings with the Hebrew word jet, separated, but have the origin from the Italian Venetian word ghetto, discharge. And we have some example of ghetto around the world. Of course, we can consider the European ghettos for the Jews, for the European Jewish ghetto in the early modern and in contemporary era to 1945. And the black American ghettos, like in Chicago, for example. The Brazilian favelas, and we can see a particular photo in which the ghetto is in front, the favelas is in front of the most developed and rich part of the city. And it is a dynamics of segregation because there is a wall that divides the poor area from the rich area. And a ghetto in Italy is the ghetto of the workers of Rignano, African workers in Puglia, in the province of Foggia. This ghetto was destroyed just last year, fortunately. So, in the structural perspective, what is a ghetto? Ghetto is characterized of by social exclusion of ethnic people, of people from ethnic origin, or for social condition. Legislative inequity, because they are deprived of documents and in general they can't prove their origin or they can't move in freedom in the country. And formal and residential segregation. Ghetto is characterized or from wall or is completely isolated from the rest of the cities of the area. And we have some example of these ghettos. You can see all the name of the ghetto present, of the workers' ghetto present in Italy just today. And of course we have an analysis of the ghetto, which the main important workers' ghetto in the Adriatic area. And we can see that we have two kinds of ghetto: the Southeastern European ghettos, main part are Bulgarian and Romanian, and the Sub-Saharan African ghetto. And we can see that a part of them are Bulgarians and Romanians. It's really relevant because they are citizens of European Union. There is also a sociological and also an ethical question and a political question. Why European citizens are constricted in an area without access to any service? But Italy found some way to create dynamic of integration and create, of course, immigration law. The law 40 of 1999 permits the residence of workers only with a contract. It means that there is no migration without contracts of work. And of course, if the contract is registered, it's possible to verify who come in the country, what are they doing, and defend their condition of work, or identify where they are working. The use soli law. So, if a people son of immigrants born in Italy, he became Italian. But this law is proposed in 2015, but with the last process of the ratification procedure after election becomes lower, and we will see if this kind of law will be approved or declined. And there is another law, is the 199 of 2016, and it declares, it equipares the illegal mediation in work to the mafious crime, and determines the condition of worker as particularly focused by the Italian state. And we can see on the left, on your left, yes, the two waves of migration. The first wave of migration, the great wave of migration, was from the southeastern area, especially from Albania. The second process of migration is from the northern Africa. We can say that the area, in particular the communities of Albanians, is now fully integrated, and not assimilated but integrated in a perspective of multiculturalism. And we can see that there are no ghetto of Albanian people in Italy. There are, yes, of course, Romanian, as we saw, Romanians ghetto and Bulgarians ghetto, but not Albanians ghetto. The integration of Albanian people is an example of the dynamics of integration of immigration of immigrant worker in Italy. So thank you. The main important thing is, of course, the education of people to the multiculturalism and to laicity. And so the Italian poets, writer, had to think to the condition of the immigrant, because Italians were people of immigrants, especially in the United States, but also in Australia and in Germany. And Edmundo de Amicis, in his poem to migrants, dedicated a poem to the immigrant. It's actual still now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Doctor Ligorio. And we have time now for questions. Only a few minutes, because we are late.
Thank you for a brilliant presentation. Let me ask you about difference between ghetto and, say, enclaves or diaspora. So, for example, Albanians and others, you include them into the category of ghetto.
Albanian it's
give you a side for the difference between the notions. Ghetto and
diasporas, yes. So there are a process of migration and diaspora. The ghetto regards only few people of the greatest diaspora. Of course, for example, there is the Bulgarian diaspora in Italy, and have a number more elevated than the Bulgarian in ghetto. The Bulgarians in ghetto are 300 or around 300 people or around it. So it's a particular condition of workers in the hand of illegal organization. The immigration is free, especially from a European country, Bulgaria, for example. But some people, for a huge number of problems, have their documents. It's the real question. Their documents are in the hand of criminal organization, and it is determined that they can't move from the working area and are looked there. Because without documents they can't come back. They can't move to another cities because they need to prove that they are European citizens. To create a parallel network and a parallel illegal business. That's it. But in general, diasporas don't create ghettos, but ghettos born with the diaspora. The first ghettos, for example, the Venetian ghetto, is not casual. That born in the first in the 17th century, at the beginning of the 17th century, because there was a diaspora of the Jewish people from Spain. So migration process can create ghettos if there is not the control of the state in the integration of the migrants.
Thank you so much for your discussion. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm very interested in your theoretical approach because we quite well know American Chicago School of Sociology, ghetto and so on. But what about Italian approach? Do you have some established Italian sociological theory of ghetto or some kind of theoretical reflection?
Thank you.
Italian.
Actually, only few research centers, like in collaboration with ISTAT, are discussing about the dynamics of these dynamics of ghettization. In general, in Italy, when you say ghetto, they think to Jewish ghetto. But now, with the encounter with the sociology and the School of Social Economics analysis, also historians are thinking that ghetto can't be defined only for Jews. And so the American sociological school is interesting because in this approach. And at the same time, I can say that structuralism of Eastern Europe give a contribute to analyze the process of the ghettization. Thank you.
Because I heard that about the sociology of everyday life. There are many or some kind of this forget the name, but exactly Italian sociology was distinguished by this approach to everyday life, vita quotidiana, and so on. But
Yeah.
is it developed in this kind of sociology? No.
Yes, it's developed.
Could it be some names?
For example, yes, it's for the everyday life. It's not my real focus, but yes, it's I can give you this data, of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.